behind the song of I'm No Angel. So I'm No Angel is basically a transcript of the last conversation I had with my father, um, with a bit of poetic justice, of course. So to give this a bigger, broader story, as this is going to be my first single off my EP, and the EP is a concept EP all around this topic of my relationship with my father, specifically in our last couple of years. Um, I didn't really have much of a relationship with him through my life. He abandoned me when I was 9 years old, and my sister, on which I found out that he was gone forever on my 10th birthday. Of course, this was traumatic. It took a lot of time, a lot of escapism, a lot of bad habits that I picked up trying to deal with my abandonment issues to break through this. And he left all of his family. He moved down to Key West, Florida, where he spent the rest of his life living on the streets. He was homeless in Key West for 20 years, for 2 decades. And it seemed like he was happy there, as happy as you can be, kind of. He picked a good place to be homeless. Let's just leave it at that. So fast forward 19 years from when I was 9. I went to find him. Actually, it was almost 20 years when I went to find him. So I was 29 at the time. Eventually, I was living in Boston, a place where he was from, and a place where I had lots of memories with him from when I was younger. I used to visit him when I was between 5 and 9 years old. So I had lots of fond memories. I would spend my entire summer holiday there. We'd go to baseball games. We'd go on the duck boats. We lived up in Rockport with my grandmother, right out there with an apartment on the beach. And yeah, to cut a long story short, because I will be going into this into more depth, I reunited with my father. It was a very hard thing to do, to initially forgive him. I had to forgive him before I found him, because if I didn't, I would have hurt him, really. I had recurring dreams, recurring nightmares of me beating him when I hadn't fully healed, or when I hadn't begun the healing process. So thanks to therapy, I was able to write a letter to him where I ended up forgiving him and telling him I loved him despite all of his faults and his flaws, and seeing he was still a human being who was broken, who was hurt, who deep down knew he wasn't good enough for the family he brought into the world, and he gave completely in to his addictions with alcohol, drugs, escapism. He didn't think he was good enough for the world. And this then had a reflection with myself. It was when I was on my journey of escapism, running into the bottom of the ball, to the bottom of the bag, drugs, alcohol, sex, you name it, anything to give me a kick, to make me feel some sort of validation. Anyway, I had a long, long road of struggle. I had a long, long road of problems in my adolescence and my early adulthood with this. I was in complete denial that I had any problems. And of course, running away from my problems ended up me running directly towards the behaviors that I hated in him. So, I'm no angel. After I spent 2 years in Key West, in 2 winters, I should say, in Key West. When I was living in my van, I was playing music. I was very grateful that he lived there and I could spend time with him there, because just the most perfect place to live in a van in winter, if you're a musician especially. So eternally blessed with that. And it was coming to the end of my time there. I knew he was becoming ill. I'd fallen in love with a beautiful Argentinian woman, and I was going to start a new life, start a new chapter of my life in Argentina. So before I went away on my trip, my second to last trip to Argentina, before I would actually move there, I was going to take my dog Elsa and then leave her here with Lucia, and then go back to Key West, finish up my work, and then I'd be moving to Argentina. So I took him out to breakfast, went to Harpoon Harry's, which was our regular breakfast spot. We'd go occasionally. I'd buy him breakfast. He always had hash and eggs with a side of rye, sometimes coffee, sometimes chocolate milk, sometimes both. And I knew that he wasn't going to have more time left. I saw his deterioration, but he was also pretty impossible to help. He would refuse help, and he was just that kind of guy, stubborn, headstrong. He would refuse medical help. I wanted to help him try and get his social security. Anyway, I saw his health was deteriorating, and I didn't know how much time I was going to have to say what I wanted to say. And I don't ever want to live my life with regrets, with saying or not saying certain things, especially to loved ones. I believe in the afterlife. I believe in heaven. I believe in God. And I wanted to talk to him about this, a conversation I'd always found difficult to bring up, difficult to find a way into the conversation. But I thought, I don't have any more time. I might not have any more time. It has to be now. So outside Harpoon Harry's, I used the fact that he had on his forearm a tattoo of Jesus Christ with a crown of thorns. And it was, the lyrics are, I see the ink on your arm, though it is well worn. A portrait of Jesus Christ with a crown of thorns. He's often rejected, rarely ever seen, soaked up sun and solitude, lines getting blurry, and then so forth. Hopefully you might know the song by now, or you will hopefully know the song soon. So with this, I got to have a proper discussion with him about his faith, about if he thought there was an afterlife, if he thought he was going to the afterlife. He did say, I'm a mile away from heaven, but I'm a step away from hell. Jokingly, of course, but that opened up a door for me to talk to him about the afterlife and what I believed in, and that there was still time for him if he wanted to. So it was a deeply profound conversation. I'm going to leave the lyrics of I'm No Angel also down below, because I feel it might be interesting to some of you to see the lyrics. It's a rough transcript of our last conversation together, of course with poetic justice, etc., to make it a song. But for the most part, the topics in it were discussed that day. And that bridge, in the bridge of the song, it changes perspective from mine to his. And he said that no matter the strength of your rope, you can't pull me from this trench I dug. And then he went in to talk about how he'd failed and how he never thought he was good enough to be a dad, to be a role model for children. And he'd let his family go. And my mother remarried a really good man, and he knew that he couldn't live up to that. Anyway, I'm No Angel. That's a bit of a commentary and a bit of a deeper story. This whole EP is about the last time I had with him, and a bit of the time I had after he passed away. As I said before, the second song is called Deathbed, so there is going to be obviously a sign when he was on his deathbed. So I'll get into that video description next. Much love, peace. Listen to I'm No Angel.